Hi there, my name is Fab and welcome back to Dream at Moment. Today I'm going to pimp out the Captain America Titan Hero Series action figure. I am a huge fan of Chris Cosplays, a YouTube channel, and in that channel he makes some awesome custom collectibles. And what he does in those custom collectibles, he takes some action figure that looks dull and he pimps out, so he makes them look better. And my intentions in this video is to try to do something like that. So I decided to start with Captain America, and I'm going to make some improvements to make that action figure look better. So first things first, let's take this action figure out of the box. And there you go. So my mission here is to make this action figure look more realistic, because there are some imperfections in this model. As you can see here, let me just check. So I don't know if you can see it, but they missed the A, the painting on the A, and as well as some ship models do, there is no paint on the back. So if you are seeing here, there are some stripes on the front, because where was the box open, but on the back there is no printing, there is no painting. Here on the neck there is no skin tone on the neck, there is missing that one. Here the wings, they are not painted in silver. So overall I have some work to do, or a lot of work to do on this action figure to make it look perfect. And for some reason his arm is way too thick, his left arm is way too thick, so I think it's because of the shield, but I don't know, I probably will have to fix this part here. So that was the review on this action figure, and now I'm going to talk about the improvements I will try to make this action figure look better. So my idea with this model is to recreate the pose that he makes when he's fighting Thanos and he grabs the Mjolnir. So my idea is to make the shield on this arm over here and the Mjolnir in the right arm. So let's do it. Alright, so let's start with the shield. I'm using some shoe polish to make the shield look worn and dirty, and this gives that a nice effect to it. After the shield was covered with some shoe polish, I used a sponge to absorb the excess. Then I went and brushed a bit of black and silver acrylic in some areas of the shield to simulate the vibranium color. This gave the look in those parts that the paint was scratched and we could already see the vibranium. Keeping in mind that more is less, so I just gave this effect in parts that make sense, like between in the colors lines and in the edge of the shield. Always in a straight line and not in a round shape, and that was it for the front part of the shield. For the inner part, the first thing I did was to remove the plastic pin using some pliers. When the pin was practically removed, I used sandpaper to smooth the area, leaving no trace of that annoying pin. An idea that I also had, but unfortunately didn't come to fruition, was using some magnets to hold the shield. That's why I'm gluing a washer to the center of the shield, and I also was thinking of putting one on the cap's back. But to recreate the straps, I used some brown zip ties. And although they kept the function of holding the shield to Cap's arm, they aren't very flexible. And so they don't allow the magnet on Cap's back to reach the washer on the shield. But maybe in a new version I can solve this part. This Mjolnir was 3D printed and scaled down to keep up the same ratio as Cap's body, which is 1/6 of the real size. I will leave the link to download this model on the description. As you can see, I'm painting with a silver spray can the upper part of the Mjolnir, and for the handle I use a brown acrylic and silver acrylic for the details. When the paint was dry, I went over and applied some shoe polish to make the details to pop out, especially the engravings on the side, and also to make it look worn. I don't have the footage of creating the straps, but what I basically did was to use a brown electrical wire and shape it to look like the straps of Mjolnir, and then I glue it to the handle, and that was it. And now for the main body. For the same reasons that I said before, I used the shoe polish to the main body and then I went over with the sponge to remove the excess. And as you can see already, the details on the figure are starting to be revealed. For the face, I opted to use the brown shoe polish, which gives a nicer effect of dirt for the skin tone on the face, and then I went with a wet paper towel to clean just a bit on some areas. Like I said in the intro, some parts of this figure weren't painted, so I went over and painted them myself. For the wings, buckle and also for the shield, I use a silver acrylic, and for the straps on the helmet and on the belt, I use a brown acrylic. I wasn't sure if I would change the eyes, cause it's very hard to recreate the human eyes and make them look perfect, but I went for it anyway. With the smallest print brush that I have and very methodical and slowly, I was able to paint the eyeballs with a clear green acrylic, and I was happy with the outcome. At least they aren't completely black anymore. So what I'm going to do in this part here is I'm going to cut the arm with the Dremel tool, so later I can use the hair dryer and bend it to make it like he's holding the hammer. One cool thing I tried to recreate when I was thinking of pimping out this action figure was to make some lightning bolts on the arm that was holding Mjolnir. So I tried to do it with a 3D pen, and fortunately it started to look great as I was doing it. One detail that helped to recreate the lightning effect was the painting. As I went over the lightning, the amount of paint on the brush naturally began to decrease, and this gave the illusion that I was looking for. The strong blue color was on the beginning of the lightning, and I went over the lightning, the strong blue started to slowly become more clear, and this gave an awesome effect to it. Now to the base. To create it, I used a bowl of water, some plaster alloys and an old filament spool that I had laying around, and it was the perfect for the base that I had in mind. It was round and tall enough. To cover up the base, first I used the plaster alloys to cover up the spool and give some roughness to the base. To do it, I cut a piece of the alloy and dampened it in the water bowl. This allowed the plaster to be more flexible and molded to whatever surface that we want to cover. After the base was all covered up with the plaster, I went and used some fiberglass to cover up some imperfections. This material is pretty easy to use, just take it from the container and put it on the material that we want to use. When the fiberglass was dried, I mixed a bit of water and white glue and brushed it on the base. Then I went with some dirt and scattered along the base. The last touch was the hairspray. This made the dirt more dried and helped to adhere it to the base, and also made it smell like blueberries, which is a bonus. And that was it. Now it's time for the big reveal. And there you go, my first ever custom action figure. It was a lot of fun to imagine it, like holding Mjolnir, creating the lightning bolts effect, and fortunately, all coming to fruition. This guy looks awesome and I'm really happy how it turned out, and I can't wait to do more of this. And now a bit of housekeeping. I am actually doing the Uncharted 3 journal, but it's taking a bit more time than I thought it will take, because it's that journal has a lot of drawings and it's taking more time. But hopefully next week I will have it ready, and I will create a video to show you how I did it. As always, please subscribe and like this video to keep up to date with my models and support this channel. Thank you for watching, and remember, dream on!